Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ivy League Analytical English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Wesley.
And today we have a translation exercise for you.
好，我先把它整个的整段念完，然后我们再一句一句解决哈。它整段是说大型建设计划通常为当地居民带来经济繁荣，但有时候环境灾难也随之而来。那一旦自然环境遭到破坏，就无法恢复其原来的面貌。所以在任何建设开始之前，我们必须先评估该工程的利弊得失啊，所以我们看第一句话哈，大型建设计划通常为当地居民带来经济繁荣啊，但有时候环境灾难也随之而来。那大型建设计划哈，这个其实建设计划就是 construction project 啊，那 construction project， 那这里我们没有特别指哪一个，所以呢，我们就用普通名词的复数不加冠词来代表泛指啊，所以我们就用 construction projects 就可以了。然后呢，前面再加一个大型计划。那我们如果说各位可以这个注意 collocation 的话，这 projects 常常前面它用一个可以用的一个形容字 large scale， 那两个字 large 一个 hyphen scale SCALE large scale， 所以呢，大型建设计划就是 large scale construction projects 然后呢，通常就 usually为当地居民带来经济繁荣经济繁荣是 economic prosperity prosperity 就是繁荣，那它是经济方面的繁荣，所以加个形容词 economic 所以呢，带来我们可以直接用 bring 那带给谁呢？ bring to 然后呢，当地的居民 local residents这里当然当地居民也可以讲 local people， 可是 people 感觉起来比较 general 一点，不够的明确。你如果讲 residents 的话，就是特别强调是住在这里的人。
If you say people, there are 2 points to watch out for. First of all, it shouldn't be stressed to local people. 因为 people 这个字很虚 because we're all people. So they would bring economic prosperity to local people. The other thing is it sounds just a little bit like Asian English to me. Local residents sounds more authentic to me.
OK 好，所以要注意哈。那这里比较好的说法是 local residents 然后呢，但是 but 环境灾难也会随之而来那有时候我们先讲 sometimes 先讲出来，环境灾难就是 environmental disasters 那也会随之而来，随之而来当然有不同的说法但是呢，其实有一个英文字在这里可以用，就是 ensue E-N-S-U-E ensue 是一个不及物动词，它的意思就是随之而来的意思所以这里我可以说 sometimes environmental disasters 这个地方呢，如果你直接说 ensue 的话，我觉得有一点感觉怪不够 something is missing， 所以我就加了一个 will 比较好一点So sometimes environmental disasters will ensue。Okay,
one more time.
所以我整句话呢，我是这样翻的Large-scale construction projects usually bring economic prosperity to local residents, but sometimes environmental disasters will ensue.
Very good. It's quite similar to mine. There are 2 noticeable differences. First of all, I also said large-scale construction projects, but I have another option, and that's massive. If you want to make it sound like they're really, really big and maybe a bit out of control, you can say massive. So massive construction projects generally bring economic prosperity to local residents. But at times, environmental disasters may follow in their wake. One big difference is may follow instead of ensue. And ensue is a really good verb here, but I chose follow. And in their wake, the wake is originally the water that is behind a boat. So if your boat is going along in the ocean, you can see that the water is disturbed and it's moving around and it's making a bunch of waves and things in the back. That's the wake of a boat. It's something like the 后果 or 后遗症. Right behind it, something is coming right after it. So the whole sentence one more time is large-scale or massive construction projects generally, instead of usually, generally is another choice, bring economic prosperity to local residents. But at times, environmental disasters may follow in their wake.
好，那 Karen 老师这个翻译呢，我也很喜欢因为其实各位看到这个，它通常这个字我看到通常我就usually 但其实 Karen 老师用 generally 也是很好的，因为 generally 在这里跟通常力量几乎是差不多的。generally 是一般来说就通常都会发生，
惯例是这样子，
惯例是这样子所以呢，这个 generally 这一点大家可以注意一下。然后呢，另外一个就是第二个部分，有时候环境灾难也会随之而来。这个有时候 Karen 老师是用 at times 这个也很好，就是 sometimes 的意思。那随之而来这个 disasters may follow in their wake 那个 wake 就是船本来是指船过水之后留下的那个后面那个船尾的那个痕迹那在这里呢 follow in their wake 就是 A 过去之后 B 马上就会上来，所以是 A 的 wake 可是 B 会 follow 所以两个之间这个很快就随之而来，所以用这个 follow in their wake 也是很好的翻译。
And here is the translation in our magazine.Large construction projects usually bring economic prosperity to local residents, but sometimes they are followed by environmental disasters. 也是蛮简洁的. And instead of finding a fancy word like large scale or massive, they just said large, which is perfectly fine.
这个地方这个construction projects 它直接用 large 来修饰，这也是很好的这简单有力。
Except don't say large, it's large. A lot of people say larger, 比较大 should be larger. Watch that R.
R 不要掉了然后呢，另外一个他后面想说 they are followed by， 这是另外一个处理方法说 A is followed by B， 就是这个 A 发生之后 B 随之而来。
So listen to it one more time.Large construction projects usually bring economic prosperity to local residents, but sometimes they are followed by environmental disasters. Good translation. Let's go on to the second sentence.
好，第二句这一旦自然环境遭到破坏，就无法恢复其原来的面貌那一旦怎样怎样怎样，因为我们常常可以想到一个结构，就是 once 怎么样怎么样once A B 就发生了，所以我们就 once， 然后呢，自然环境就是 the natural environment， 然后遭到破坏其实我们用被动式来表达就可以了 is damaged 所以 once the natural environment is damaged 就无法恢复其原来的面貌。那我就直接写作 it can never be 恢复用 restore restore 就是修复的感觉所以 it can never be restored to 原来的面貌，就是 its original。不要讲 face 因为这个 environment 没有 face 所以呢，原来的面貌其实是原来的状态嘛，所以可以讲说 restored to its original state 那事实上你这个英文里面也常常有这样的说法，就是 to be restored to its original state 这常常看到的一个 chunk， 所以这样子的话，这个句子很好解决的。我现在再把它翻一遍再念一遍。Once the natural environment is damaged, it can never be restored to its original state.
Very good. Mine is quite similar.Once the natural environment is destroyed, there is no way of restoring it to its original condition. The two main differences are I use destroyed instead of damaged, which is considerably more serious, and instead of its original state, which is an excellent collocation here, I chose a similar one, its original condition. Once the natural environment is destroyed, there is no way of restoring it to its original condition.
对，然后除了刚刚 Ken 老师提到的两点之外，各位还可以注意到这个用法 there is no way of 加 VING， 就是这件事情是没办法做到的，就是无法如何如何的意思。
And given a choice between the two, I think state is better here. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the translation in our magazine. Once the natural environment is destroyed, it can never be returned to its original state. Listen again. Once the natural environment is destroyed, it can never be returned to its original state. Returned is a very good verb to use here. Note that return can be both transitive and intransitive. The intransitive uses like he returned to his old job. To 是介系词, so it has no object here. Or you can also say, I returned the book to him after I finished reading it.
所以当及物动词的时候 return 常常是归还的意思。
And here we are not 归还, but we are 恢复原状. That's another use of return. To return something to its original state. 这个片语也指的被。
好，那这里要注意的就是它是 return 在这里是不及物动词所以 return to 什么样的一个状况所以 return to normal， 那这也是 return to its original state。那这里呢，另外还要注意它是用被动因为它是被这个恢复原状的，环境自己不会恢复原状，你把它破坏了，它自己很难恢复的，一定是你要想办法帮它恢复。
Okay, we are ready for our next sentence, the last one.
Okay, 好，那我们看到下一个句子第三个句子我们要翻的是说所以呢，在任何建设开始之前，我们必须先评估该工程的利弊得失所以这个我把它翻成 that's why 因为这前面讲了这么多，我这里用 that's why 所以 that's why， 然后呢，在任何建设开始之前，其实是一个时间片语那我决定把它放到后面去。我先讲，我们必须 先评估该工程的利弊得失啊。所以 that's why we must weigh 或者是 evaluate 啊，这个 weigh 就是 W-E-I-G-H 啊，权衡得失，我们常常会用 weigh， 好像是放在天平上面那种感觉，我称一称哪边重要哪边不重要，所以你可以用 we must weigh or we must evaluate 这个 all of the advantages and disadvantages 啊，叫权衡所有的优点跟缺点啊，这叫这个评估它的利弊得失啊，所以 that's why we must weigh or evaluate all of the advantages and disadvantages， 然后呢，在任何建设开始之前 before launching any construction project 啊 ，construction project 是个这个建设计划。那用 launch， 当然这也可以用 beginning， 用 starting 都可以，但是你可以 launch a project， 听起来感觉这计划好像规模更大的感觉。
Right. Can we hear it again?
OK， 好，那我整句我再念一次。That's why we must weigh or evaluate all of the advantages and disadvantages before launching any construction project.
Good translation. Here's mine. So, before embarking on any construction project, we must first carefully assess all its possible benefits and drawbacks. One more time. So, before embarking on any construction project, we must first carefully assess all its possible benefits and drawbacks. And instead of benefits and drawbacks, you could also say, we must first carefully assess all its possible benefits and any negative impact it might have.
OK， 好，那这个地方呢，评估这个字 ，Karen 老师用的 assess 这个字哈，很好，很精准哈。所以要评估怎么样？原来我们是可以讲说 all its possible benefits and drawbacks 啊，但是我们也可以用另外一个方法，就 Karen 老师刚刚讲的，我们可以 assess all its possible benefits 啊，它所有可能的这个好处，然后呢 and any negative 就是负面的 impact 啊，就是冲击 it might have 它可能有的任何的负面的冲击，我们都要去好好把它评估一下。
Especially when we're talking about damage to the environment, we often use this expression, any negative impact it might have. Impact, it means an influence or an effect on the environment.
冲击 yeah.
Right.
那 Karen 老师另外还用了一个很棒的动词哈 to embark on a project 啊，那我是用 launch， 那 Karen 老师是 embark on， 所以 before embarking on any construction project.
And both of them sound like boats or rockets, right? To launch a ship,
yeah.
right? Or to embark on a journey.
Yeah.
So it's the beginning of a journey, usually on a ship. Well, let's listen to the translation again. So before embarking on any construction project, we must first carefully assess all its possible benefits and drawbacks, or we must first carefully assess all its possible benefits and any negative impact it might have. Well, we have one more translation to look at, the one in the magazine. Therefore, we must evaluate the pros and cons of each project before any construction begins. That is more concise. This is also pretty good. Therefore, we must evaluate the pros and cons of each project before any construction begins.
好，那这 pros and cons 啊 ，pro 本来是赞成的意思 ，con 本来是这个反对的意思。那在这里 pros and cons 就是它的这个好处跟坏处啊，就是赞成人有可能什么好处啊，那反对的人有可能有什么样的理由啊，所以用 pros and cons 也可以。那 evaluate 这个字本来它就是一个评估的意思哈，那我的翻译里面也有提到这样的一个选择，我们可以用 evaluate 这个字。所以呢，各位要记得这个 chunk 哈，你可以 evaluate the pros and cons 啊，或者是我用的那个 chunk 啊 ，to weigh the advantages and disadvantages 啊，这都是常见的这个 chunks， 各位把它背多了啊，用起来就很好用了哈。然后呢，还要注意到就是这个我们杂志上的翻译，就 before any construction begins 啊，这个任何一个这个 construction， 当然他没有在强调它是个什么 construction project， 不需要再强调，因为我们整个 context 很清楚了，所以这个翻译呢是可能是比较短、比较简洁的一个翻译，而且意思也是一样翻出来的。
And not only that, when you use any, it is in fact very emphatic. For example, we have to clean this room up before any playing begins.A mother might use that tone of voice.
Before any playing begins. 好，任何开始玩，你要玩之前一定要先把这个房间整理好，所以这很强的一个语气。
Right, so before any construction begins, that means you better think it out clearly before anything begins. Well, that's it for today. Please tune in next time. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.